So we're going to begin then. And we're going to begin with the story that Akila, my friend from Pakistan, has requested. I met Akila in Cyprus several years ago when I was traveling around Europe trying to learn about storytelling in other cultures. Now, my name is Juliana, first of all, and welcome to the World Storytelling Cafe. This is an extraordinary initiative from people from Morocco, the UK, Romania, and all over the world to bring storytellers from different corners of the globe together to bring stories to people who are trapped at home because of the lockdown and the apocalypse that we're living right now. Who would have thought that the apocalypse included Netflix and couches, right? But stories are a way to bring people together. Even, can everyone hear me? I'm getting a message saying that my microphone is not working. Can everyone hear me? All good?
So it's a bit. It sounds a bit crackly. All right, we can hear you, but it's a little bit distorted.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Good now.
I have really bad Wi-Fi where I am. And right now I'm in the place where I get the best signal. I can try going to a different location. How does it sound now?
Great. Right now, great.
Right now it's all right? Okay. If anything...
Thumbs up, please.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Can hear you fine.
Okay.
It's
Great
good.
in Romania and great in England. And so I think it's great.
Okay. If anything, let me know and we can try moving to somewhere else. I do apologize to everyone for the lack of Wi-Fi. I'm in a bit of a rural area right now. I don't have my own Wi-Fi. I'm kind of leeching off the neighbors who are a little bit further away. But I'm very glad to be here with you and thank you so much for coming. So, as I was saying, the World Storytelling Cafe is an initiative to bring storytellers together from different corners of the globe to bring stories to people who are stuck at home because of lockdown. And stories are a way of connecting people. For example, I connected with Akila through stories in Cyprus some years ago. She attended one of the storytelling events I gave at a cultural cafe there. And one of the stories that I told that Akila has requested I tell again is a story that I heard here in Colombia. Now, I don't know where this story comes from. I haven't been able to find it online or asking people. I don't know if it's a Colombian story. Once again, it's giving trouble with the audio.
It's okay. It's okay. We can hear you good.
Says I'm silenced. Okay, all right. This might keep happening. We'll see. Anyway, I was traveling around Europe to learn about storytelling in different cultures. I studied storytelling here in Medellin in Colombia, where I'm speaking to you from right now. There's a school for storytelling and oral narration. But when I attended a festival in the United States, I realized the storytelling was very different around the world. So I packed my bag and I took off and started traveling. And these travels led me to Cyprus. In Cyprus, there's a storytelling school. And I ended up giving a few storytelling performances in different cultural cafes and even festivals. And one of the stories that I told was a story about the most difficult question in the world. Now, I don't know where this story comes from. I heard it in Colombia. I don't even remember who I heard it from. If any of you other storytellers who are connected here have heard this story before, I would love to know more information about it. It is a story about a man, a traveler, an adventurer, who a very long time ago, similar to me, but before the time of technology and internet communication, decided to pack his own bag and take off and travel the world and see new places. And it just so happens that he came upon this faraway land in a very opulent, fabulous kingdom that he had never heard of before. And the people of this kingdom had different customs, which, of course, being a stranger, he did not know of. Now, people all watched him because he was different, and he smiled and waved and just kept going. He was very hungry and tired, and he saw this beautiful pear tree. The pears were so lush and delicious and juicy that, well, he looked around. People were just watching him. Nobody was stopping him. Nobody was saying anything. So he took a pear and the most delicious pear in the world. And instantly, he was surrounded by dozens of armed guards, all pointing spears at him. Traitor! And before he knew it, they had jumped on him, tied him hands and feet, and dragged him before the king of the land. And all the people who had been watching him followed as well because they wanted to see what was going to happen. Nobody had ever before dared to steal one of the king's sacred pears. Of course, the traveler didn't know it was a sacred pear, and he didn't know he was going to get into any trouble at all. And he tried to apologize and to explain, but when the king heard that he had eaten one of his sacred pears, he said, "Off with his head!" Now, the traveler said, wait a minute. King, you are making a very hasty decision. And he started trying to think very quickly, and he was quite smart after all, and he had traveled a lot and learned a lot about many different cultures. And so he said, "Your Majesty, if you spare my life, I can help you. I can be an advisor to you. I can tell you about the state of the rest of the world. I can teach you many things of what I have learned." The king thought about this and said, "So you think you're really smart, huh?" "Well, decently enough to be of value to you, sir." "Very well then. If you are so smart, answer for me 3 questions. If you can answer these 3 questions correctly, I will not only spare your life, I will give you riches beyond your wildest dreams." That sounded pretty good, although of course the traveler was nervous as to what these 3 questions could be. But he did have a pretty decent confidence in himself, and that is not a bad thing at all. And so he said, "Bring it on." After all, the only other option was instant death. Question number 1. How far is the east from the west? Do any of the listeners want to hazard a guess as to question number 1? Do any of you think that you can get this question right? Raise your hand if you do, and we'll unmute you. Any ideas?
I know the answer.
So you don't count, Aquila, not you. Anyone else? Yes, John Rowe.
Well, I would think it was no distance at all.
No distance at all. That is a very good answer. And it is probably an answer that would have saved your life. However, the traveler gave a different answer. He thought about it for a moment and said, "A day's journey, Your Majesty." A day's journey. Now, how do you come about that? Probably the king was thinking what you were saying, John Rowe, of it's no distance at all. "Well, Your Majesty, that's how long it takes the sun to go from the east to the west, isn't it?" Answer. "Very well then," said the king. "All right then, I will accept that answer. Question number 2. The traveler was like, oh, thank goodness. Question number 2. What is the fastest thing in the world? Any guesses? Anyone want to risk their life as to this question?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I can't hear you. Could you speak a little bit louder, please?
Do you want the fastest animal, Juliana, or the fastest thing?
The fastest thing in the world.
I don't know. What about the speed of sound? How's that?
Speed of sound.
I'm going to guess that's the fastest thing.
Very good answer. Very, very good answer. I think that's probably what the king was thinking. But the traveler gave a different answer. He said, Your Majesty, the fastest thing in the world is time. Because no matter how fast we run, we can never catch up to it. Time will always be one step ahead. Time will always beat us in the end. Ah, very good answer. The king was satisfied with this and said, You have passed question number 2. Question 3. And by this time, the young man was like, yeah, bring it on, we can do this, all right. And also, all the village people who had been watching were cheering for him by now as well. They really liked those answers. Question number 3. What do women want? And that's when the young man realized, I can't say that on a live broadcast, but I'm sure you know what he was thinking. Because what do women want is the question that men have been struggling with since the dawn of humanity. Hello? Akila is saying that something went wrong with her speaker. Can everyone still hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So what do women want is the question that men have been struggling with since the dawn of humanity. And gentlemen here listening in, do any of you know the answer to that? See, they haven't even been able to figure it out yet. And so when the young man realized that this was the question that nobody had been able to answer this whole time, he thought, I'm dead, I'm so dead. But he wasn't going to just give up so easily. And he said, Your Majesty, I can give you the answer, but I will need time to word it correctly. If you would just give me some time to meditate and gather it, you have 1 day. I was going to ask for a few years, but I guess 1 day is better than nothing. And the guards once again grabbed the young man, dragged him out into the main square, and built up a golden cage that was specifically had been saved just for this purpose all along. He was placed inside the golden cage, and villagers came by to look at him. And all of the men, of course, well, they wanted to help the fellow out, right? They had quite admired his very intellectual and witty answers to the king, and they all came up to him and said, Look, buddy, it's all right. I have a wife. Are you married? No? All right. I can tell you what I want. Women just want money. My wife, she only ever asks me for my wallet. She always wants to go shopping. Just say women want money. You're good. That's the right answer. Another man came up and said, No, I'm broke. I don't have a penny to my name, but look at this smile. Look at these muscles. What women really want is a man like me. The traveler listened to all of these answers, but he was, after all, a very intelligent young man. And he knew that if men have been struggling to find the answer all this time, well, they probably weren't the best people to listen to. In fact, he knew that if he wanted the answer, he needed to go straight to the source. So while the men were still arguing over what their wives wanted, he saw a woman passing by and said, Hey, ma'am, please. He came over, he says, Excuse me, ma'am. You gotta help me out here. Can you tell me, what do women want? The woman was quite surprised because nobody had ever asked for that before. And she said to him, Well, thank you very much for that question. I actually do know, and I can tell you. And this question will certainly save your life, and you definitely do deserve to live. The men are saying that we want money, that we want good looks, but none of that is true. You see, really, truly, deep down, what we want is simply to be loved. Love is the answer to everything. That was a beautiful answer. And the young man knew that he was going to be saying, but there was a problem. You see, the woman had a friend, and her friend said, well, I mean, yes, of course, but everyone wants to be loved. That's not something that's specifically to women. And honestly, I'm quite fine all by myself. I don't really feel that I need to be loved, at least not right now. I think that really, truly, what women want is freedom. Freedom to be able to be who we want to be. Freedom to make our own choices. And the young man thought, oh, that is also an excellent answer. Freedom, love, they are not the same thing. They are not the same answer. Now, which one shall I give? And it got even worse because another woman was passing by, and of course, she wanted to know what was going on, so she listened in. And as the two friends started debating over whether freedom or love were more important, this other woman went in and said, no. I have the real answer. You must listen to me. And she gave a completely different answer, which was equally as good. Pretty soon, there was a line of women all lined up at his cage, each one trying to give him the answer, telling him what women really wanted. He listened to each one, and one after one, and hours passed. The word started spreading that for the very first time, there was a man who was actually asking women what they wanted, and every single woman wanted to give her opinion. Well, every single woman of that kingdom lined up outside his cage. He spent all morning, all afternoon, all night listening to all of the women. And finally, the sun rose, and it was time to go back before the king. And there were still women in line saying, wait, you haven't heard my answer yet. My answer will definitely save you. Listen to me. But the guards came, opened the cage, dragged him away from the women who followed after, chasing and yelling out their answers, hoping that this one would save him. And he was dragged before the king because there were deep circles under his eyes. He had not had a wink of sleep. He had not eaten anything. And the king said, well, young man, do you know the answer? The traveler looked up at the king confidently, and even though he was tired and stumbling a little on his feet, he said, Your Majesty, yes, I know what women want. Women want to be listened to. Listen to them, and they will tell you what they want. That is the end of that story that Aquila requested, that she heard many years ago in Cyprus. Now, I'm seeing that there is a problem with the audio connection.
Yeah, I'm back.
We have an idea.
Okay.
We have a suggestion. Do you have a telephone?
Yes.
We could give you a local number, a Colombian number to call, and then we'll try to use the video over the current connection, and we'll take your voice from the telephone, and we'll see if that works better for the next story. Is that okay?
Yeah, we can try that.
Okay, so we're going to give you a number now, which is a local number in Colombia, and we'll try that, see if that's a better solution.
All right, very interesting solution. Let's see. Do we need to log out and open another meeting or stay here?
No, nothing else changes. You just try dialing one of those numbers on the telephone.
Okay. 57.
Hard in the background there, Mr. Mike. Sorry, might really hard in the background.
All right, let's try.
Could you repeat that? Sorry, we were all muted, so we couldn't hear you.
All right. Meeting ID. Let's try this. Six, 7, 0.
Introduzca su ID de participante seguido de numeral. De lo contrario, solo presione numeral para continuar.
Juliana,
Yes.
you need to use your participant ID. Unfortunately, I think I've sent you mine. Let's
Wait,
see.
no, I think I can hear you now.
Yeah, through the phone?
Testing.
I'm letting you in. Just a second.
I can hear you now.
talk
Let me turn the sound off from my computer. All right, can everyone hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah, much better. Perfect.
perfect.
How's the sound?
Okay.
All good?
Yeah.
All good. All good.
All right, lovely. Wonderful, wonderful. Excellent solution. All right. So, I see there are several new participants. Welcome. And hello, everyone. Today, what I want to do is simply tell the stories that you want to hear. So, Akila already requested the first one. Is there anyone who has a story a kind of story, doesn't have to be a specific story, but a kind of story or as the subject of a story that they want or need to hear right now? Raise your hand and let me know, and I'll see if maybe I have one.
Okay. So,
Yes, Mike.
Julie's just given her his login for.
do you have a story about nature?
About who?
Nature.
Nature.
About nature?
Yeah.
About nature, yes.
Yeah.
The first one that comes to mind, of course, is Marina and Marino, but I told that one already. So give me just a second. Let me think and see what other nature stories I might have. All right. Yes, I have one. So this is a story that comes from Japan. Now, many of you may have heard this story already, the story of Amaterasu, the shining one, the brilliant one. You see, in many of our cultures, we tend to think of the sun as something masculine. But in Japan, the sun is Amaterasu, the bright, beautiful, radiant maiden. She is the one who brings light and joy to the entire world. And it is because of her that we can see each other now and that we can live and that there are green trees and bright flowers. Everything is because of the sun. If she were not there, we wouldn't be here either. At least not in the way that we know life. However, a very, very, very long time ago, something happened that almost destroyed the earth forever. Because you see, Amaterasu, every day she rose and she smiled upon the land, but one day something terrible happened. Something so horrible, frightening. She could not believe that such evil could exist in the world. And it happened right in front of her, and she was helpless to do anything about it. Absolutely helpless. And I don't know if any of you have ever felt this, but worse than rage or fear or sadness or any other feeling, helplessness is the worst. And Amaterasu, she was the sun. She was the most powerful goddess of all. And not even she could stop this evil from happening. And it broke her. It broke her inside. What was the point of her if not even she in all her glory and all her power could stop these things? If she had to see them and not be able to do anything about them? She didn't want to see these things. In fact, She would rather never see anything again if she knew that such evil existed in the world. And so she hid because she was broken and she felt so worthless. She came down during the night so that nobody would notice if she was missing. And she hid in the deepest, darkest cave and closed it up with a magic rock that only the most powerful of the gods could move. And there she wept alone, cursing her own light, because even inside the deepest, darkest cave, her light illuminated everything around her, and she had to see her own tears. And she hated it, and she wished for darkness. She wished for being able to not feel anything at all. Now, in the meantime, the night passed, and people awoke at the regular time and wondered why the sun had not come out. They went back to sleep thinking that they had just awoken in the middle of the night, but they awoke again later, and the sun had still not come out. After some time, they ventured out of their houses, and the animals ventured out of their burrows, and everything was dark and cold. What is wrong, they said. Now, the gods as well depended on the light of Amaterasu for their daily life, and they realized that she was missing. What had happened to her? Had she been kidnapped? Had she been stolen? They went around looking for her, calling out her name. And it took them many, many, many days, although they weren't really days, but rather one long, endless night, before finally they realized that she was hidden deep in this cave. They begged her from the outside to please come out, because by then a great winter had set upon the land. Plants could not grow. People were stumbling in the dark, running into each other. Animals were dying. But Amaterasu, hearing their cries, just went deeper into the cave and covered up her ears. They brought roosters, like the one you can hear crowing now, because she'd always loved roosters. And the roosters begged her to come out, but she didn't care. By now, all 800 of the gods had camped outside, with torches lighting their way. They tried different things, tantalizing her with jewels and promising and threatening. The roosters kept on crowing, but still, Amaterasu did not want to come out. "We need you, Amaterasu, we need you." But she knew that was a lie. They didn't need her. She couldn't help them. She couldn't do anything. What was the point of her at all? If these terrible things happened and she could only be a witness. The gods took to arguing among themselves, and a fight would have broken out. But there was a goddess named Uzume. She was the goddess of laughter. She was short and chubby, not very pretty, and obviously kind of a class clown. Nobody ever took her seriously. From the beginning, she had been stamping her feet and saying, "I have an idea. I know how to bring Amaterasu out. Make that rooster stop crowing. That's not going to work. I know who's going to bring her out. Please just listen to me." But nobody would. Uzume, you can tell us your jokes later. Right now is not the time. They kept on arguing, and finally, when Uzume realized that she was not being listened to, she dragged out a heavy barrel, placed it in the center of the arguing gods, and jumped up upon the barrel and shouted out at the top of her lungs, and still nobody listened. So she stamped her feet on the barrel very angrily, and then, because of course she was a bit of a class clown and she was the goddess of laughter, she thought that stamping, that made a fun sound. And for a moment she forgot about trying to convince the other gods and started stamping again, and then pretty soon she started tapping out a little rhythm and started kind of dancing around on the barrel, and her feet made a rhythm. And without realizing it, she invented or discovered something for the very first time: music, because she had just created the first drum. Now her dancing became wilder and louder, and pretty soon the other gods started arguing and started paying attention to that catchy kind of rhythm that was going on, and they all turned and looked and saw that it was Uzume, and she was having the time of her life, laughing, throwing her hair around and dancing, and wilder and wilder. And of course, she was wearing a kimono, and well, kimonos are not the best articles of clothing to wear when you're doing a wild dance. And her clothes started falling off, and all the gods started laughing and cracking up, and Uzume started laughing as well as she gathered things around. And from inside the cave, Amaterasu heard that outside everyone was laughing and stamping their feet, and she could hear this catchy rhythm and this thing that she had never heard before, music. And she did wonder what was going on and why they were having so much fun. Without even meaning to, she found herself creeping, inching a little bit closer to the doorway of the cave, and after a while placing her ear against the rock, she could hear the resounding rhythm, the beat of the drum and the tramping of hundreds of feet outside, and the laughing and clapping, and it did sound kind of fun, actually. What's going on? And before she knew what she was doing, she had moved just a tiny crack to peer through the cave out into the night. She saw the torches lit. Everyone was dancing around something, but who was that? And what was she doing? And what was she on? And before she knew it, Amaterasu was outside of the cave, and her brilliant light filled the night, illuminating the faces of all the different gods, extinguishing the lanterns and the torches. And instantly, all the gods turned around. Amaterasu, Amaterasu, you have joined us! Yay! And they ran over to her. But she started retreating back into the cave. No, she couldn't. She could not go back into the world. No, there was darkness in the world that not even she could illuminate. There was evil in the world that she could do nothing about. But before she could hide back into the cave, Uzume jumped off her barrel, ran over, grabbed her hand, and dragged her into the center of the gods, off to one side, to a tree. Uzume had hung something. She had hung it there. That was what she had been trying to tell the other gods about that nobody had listened to. That was what she knew was going to work. And when Amaterasu saw it, oh, so beautiful, so lovely. I've never seen anything so beautiful in my life. It was as if everything was made well now. Amaterasu reached out to touch the thing hanging on the tree. I did not know there was such beauty in the world. What is this? Uzume just smiled as all the other gods stayed silent, watching. Amaterasu, it's you. This is a mirror. You're seeing the reflection of your own light. And yes, Amaterasu, sometimes there is darkness in the world. Sometimes there are things that we cannot do anything about. Yes, there is evil. But there's also laughter and dance and music now. And as long as you are with us, there will also be this. And this is worth it. In the meantime, as Amaterasu was staring in wonderment, the reflection of her own beauty, the other gods all together were working to push the rock in front of the mouth of the cave so that she could not go back inside and hide. But it wasn't necessary, because she didn't want to anymore. Because now she had seen herself. She had seen her beauty. She had seen her light. And now, even though she knew that, yes, perhaps she couldn't fix everything or save everyone, as long as she was there would be light in many places. And it was not her task to save everyone or fix everything. It was her mission to let her light shine.
Lovely.
I can't hear you very well. Who's speaking right now? Who else would like to hear a story? What kind of story would you like to hear? Yes, Stephanie.
I'd like to hear a story about an old man with a long white beard and long white hair.
An old man with a long white beard and long white hair. All right. Let's see. Think of one. Give me just a moment.
Characteristics.
Sorry?
Or a middle-aged man with the same characteristics would be fine.
No, I have one about a very old man with a long white beard and long white hair. I have exactly the one you need. It is a true story, actually. It is a story of the Jewish people. And I hope it will be all right for me to tell it, as I'm not Jewish myself. But this is a story that has meant a lot to me ever since the first time that I heard it. It happened a few hundred years ago in Poland. And in order to visualize this story, you must come with me to the deep of winter in Poland, flying over the forest of pines, in which there, in the middle of the forest, there is a small village. The roofs are all dusted white with snow. But there is one house that is bigger than others, and there is smoke coming out of the chimney, and the windows are all lit up with a warm glow. And if you come closer, flying lower to the ground like a bird, you hear the wolves howling from the forest in the distance. But from inside the house, you hear Chava, Nagila Chava, Nagila Chava, Nagila Venitnecha. And as you peer in through the window, you see that it is full, cramped to the brim. There's barely any room to move, of men with long beards, not white beards, no, long brown beards, long black beards, all dressed completely in black, all wearing these thick fur caps, all dancing around the bed of a very old man with a very long beard and long white hair. This is the Rabbi Zushe. And Rabbi Zushe, you can see that he is very, very old and very frail. His hands are paper thin. His skin is almost translucent with age. And you can see that he is about to die. And yet, on his wrinkled old face, there is a smile. And he is nodding his head a little bit to the music. Every once in a while, he will be racked by a terrible fit of coughing, and one of the men dressed in black will run, they are his disciples, of course, his friends, to bring a glass of water. But he will smile at them. And every once in a while, one of the men around him will start crying, but Rabbi Zusha will say, "Do not cry, my son. Yes, I am about to die, but we will see each other again in the Olam Haba, in the world to come." Rabbi Zusha knew that he was going to die that night, that his time had come, but he was not afraid, because he was surrounded by his friends and family and, of course, his many disciples who were singing and praying with him in those last moments. And he kept on telling them that all would be well, that they need not be afraid or missing him or too sad, that they must carry on his work and that they would see each other again. After a while, as his disciples kept on singing, time passed. It was almost midnight. And Rabbi Zushe closed his eyes, and his breathing became longer and slower. And suddenly, he opened his eyes and stared off into the distance. The disciples stopped singing. They crowded around his bed, all staring intently, knowing that the moment had come. And as they watched their beloved rabbi stare off into the distance, they could see in his eyes that he was seeing something that was beyond this world. It is time, they whispered. Rabbi Zushe, staring off into the distance, smiled, and his eyes filled with joyous tears. But then suddenly, his face changed. And the most horrible look of horror came over his face. And suddenly, Rabbi Zushe started crying, great, desperate, hysterical sobs. And the disciples didn't know what to do. One ran to get another glass of water. One ran to get under the blanket. Two others held his hands. Master, what is wrong? Are you in pain? No. I'm afraid. I don't want to die. The disciples all looked at each other in shock. But Master, you yourself have taught us that there is nothing to fear from death, because the Eternal One is waiting for us in the Olam Haba. I know. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of the question that the Eternal One is going to ask me. And now the disciples are really confused. But Master, what question could the Eternal One possibly ask you that you could not answer with an open heart? Master, you are the greatest among us. You have been a father to us like Abraham. You have been a leader for our people like Moses himself. You have been a wise ruler like Solomon. What question could the Holy One possibly ask you that you would be afraid to answer? And upon hearing this, Rabbi Zushe wept all the more bitterly. And when finally he was able to catch his breath from those deep, racking sobs, he said, "That is just it, my children. Now that I am at the gates of the Olam Haba, I can hear the question that the Holy One has for me. And the Holy One is not asking me, Zushe, why were you not Abraham? Or Zushe, why were you not Moses? Or Zushe, why were you not Solomon? Now that I have come to the end of my life and it is too late to go back, the only question the Holy One has for me is, Zushe, why were you never Zushe?" The shadow awakes, the dreamer passes by. When I tell you a tale, the tale may be a lie. But listen closely, brave maiden, kind youth. The tale is alive, but what it tells is the truth. Our time is up for today. I believe so, right? What?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Christmas, come here.
Thank you so much for joining me, for joining us at the World Storytelling Cafe. Thank you,
Stay for a while.
Bianca,
Don't
for
go
all
away.
the technical. Sorry, sir?
To talk to you.
Oh, yes, that's right. We have the question and answers. Wonderful. I completely forgotten about that. Okay. All right, lovely. So, I'm all ears.
Tell us about your. Can you tell us about your village a little bit? We heard the dog and the cockerel, and it'd be lovely to hear about.
I'm living
Dogs
on
making my dogs bark.
Yes, there are dogs and cockerels and music. I'm glad the neighbors have actually been behaving and not placed the music on, but normally it's 3 different houses blasting 3 different songs all at the same time at top volume. I was telling you about it earlier, and it's not even a party. It's just the music that they play all by themselves. This is a typical kind of rural area, small village feel in Colombia. Just a minute, let me show you the view from my window and some of the other houses. This is called San Antonio de Prado. It's on the outskirts of Medellin, which is the second largest city in Colombia. But it's very, very difficult in Colombia to find a place that is really, truly remote, like a little cabin in the middle of the woods, for instance. Very, very difficult because Colombians love to live together. So all the houses are as close to each other as possible, generally built sharing the same walls. You can see that, I'm not sure if you can see actually, but the terraces are used a lot. People will put their laundry out there to dry, or often go out there and eat, or just spend time during the quarantine. And since it's kind of a small village feel, there hasn't really been that much of a lockdown feel because people will be out, of course. The children are always playing in the street right in front of my house. And so that's kind of what it's like right now.
It looks lovely over
Can
there.
everyone still hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
So when are you going to go traveling again, Juliana?
When am I going to go traveling again? Well, it all depends on whether they open the borders, on lots of different things. I might be going to work at a summer camp in the United States if flights are available by June, but we'll see.
Okay, and when are you coming again to Europe? Now I am in Europe.
To Europe, I don't know. Everything is up in the air right now. I'm kind of waiting to see what happens at the end of the lockdown. I'm a tour guide in Medellin, but obviously that job is gone for now, so there's nothing really tying me here. So if they lift lockdowns, if travel becomes possible again, if the summer camp thing doesn't come through, I might just take off and travel around again as well.
Wow.
You never
Nice.
know.
Nice.
So, Juliana, I know you traveled a lot. Did you have a favorite place that you visited?
Oh, there's so many. My top 4 favorite countries are Mexico, Israel, Greece, and Romania. Those are definitely amazing, amazing. In Mexico, Oaxaca, particularly Yerba del Agua, which is a place in the middle of nowhere where there is a petrified frozen waterfall. But it's not, it's a waterfall made out of stone. And it is just extraordinary. And at night, you cannot see the sky for stars. That place is very, very magical, and hardly anybody knows about it. In Colombia as well, just a few hours from Medellin, about 3 hours from Medellin, is Rio Claro, which is a crystal river that carves its way through a canyon made of natural marble. That's one of the most beautiful places I've seen in the world as well. And there's a cave, which is extraordinary, full of vicious demon birds that try to eat you. But if you brave the demon birds and the cave, it is an absolutely amazing experience. You have to climb a waterfall to get to it.
Are you awake,
If
John?
anyone is speaking, I think.
I'm awake.
Yes.
Why does everyone always accuse me of sleeping?
You look like you're asleep.
We saw you sleeping.
He was relaxed. He was relaxed.
I'm leaning forward. I couldn't possibly be asleep.
Have you been to Morocco, Juliana?
No, but I really, really, really want to go. In fact, I was kind of planning a trip there at the end of last year, but it didn't work out, obviously. But I have been fascinated by Morocco for a long time. I'd actually known about the Café Clock Towers for many years and had been following them a little bit. And Morocco just fascinates me, everything about it. So I really hope to be able to visit you guys there soon.
Fantastic. Alexa from the Cafe Clock Tellers is online right now, I think.
I arrived a bit late. Sorry.
And also, you need to plan a visit to Pakistan as well.
Yes. I really need to go to Pakistan, definitely. But I need you to be there, Akila, so you can show me around.
We will, like, whenever you plan, just let me know, and then we can, make a plan together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah.
While we got Agila on, do you tell stories, Agila?
Akila, John is talking to you. I'm not sure if she heard you go.
Ah, you're talking to me? Sorry.
Yeah. Do you tell stories?
Oh no. I'm an engineer. I'm not good at telling stories. But...
That's okay. I won't put you on the spot then. If you were a storyteller, I was going to offer you a set. We haven't got anyone. It would be brilliant to have or if you know any storytellers from, where are you now? You're in Pakistan or Cyprus?
I'm in Italy at the moment.
You're in Italy.
Yeah.
Right. You're another Juliana. You never know which country you're in.
Juliana? I know Juliana.
No, yeah, I know, but you're like her. You one country, another country, another country. You go from country to country.
Yes, I have been traveling around as well, but I have been traveling around for research and engineering, and Juliana is traveling around collecting stories. So yeah.
Okay.
So, but I stay mostly in Europe and Pakistan. That's it. Maybe I will visit Juliana in Colombia.
Yeah, maybe I will too.
That would be wonderful. Yeah, definitely. You're welcome here anytime.
Thank you.
Any of you, really.
Okay. I need to cook dinner for my daughter. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed that.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Pleasure seeing you
Thanks
soon.
for coming.
Have a great evening.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Oh.
Abdul, tell me a little bit about, and Zuhair as well, tell me a little bit more about Cafe Clock and the whole storytelling scene in Morocco. I've been watching some of your shows. I haven't managed to catch up to all of them yet.
Actually, Alexa, can you answer? Can you hear us, Alexa? Do you want to answer that?
Can you hear me? I don't know if it's working. Hello?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't sure if it was working. Yeah, we have a program where we have storytellers perform every Mondays and Thursdays. It's been running for about 5 years now in Fez and Marrakesh. And the young people who perform, they're being taught by ma'alums, which are master storytellers. There isn't many of these ma'alums left in Morocco, but we've been working with three masters, Mokhlis in Fez, who's sadly just passed away in December, and we still haven't found another master in Fez. And in Marrakesh, we've been working with Azalea and Ahmed Mghazi. So yeah, they teach them stories every Sunday, and then the young apprentices, they learn the stories, they record them, or they learn them by listening and writing things down, and then they go and practice, and then they come back a week or two later, the story memorized in their heads, and start performing. Which is pretty amazing how they remember these stories. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. We've got about 12 young people who are performing at different levels, I guess, from people who have been with us like 6 months to people who have been with us like 5 years. So yeah, it's and people have come and gone as well. So yeah. I'm sorry I came a bit late. I missed a lot of your story, but I'll definitely listen back, Juliana. And we'd love to have you come over and perform in the cafe anytime you're in Morocco.
Lovely. No, yeah, I want to go and stay there a while and learn from all of you. I've really admired your work for a very long time.
Oh, thank you. Thanks very much.
Great. Any more questions for Juliana?
Have you ever been to north, to cold countries, Nordic countries? Have you only been traveling in the warm part of the world?
The farthest north I've ever been is Scotland.
Oh, well, it's pretty north, but it's still like a nice and warm place. So welcome to
Yeah.
Finland whenever you feel like.
I would love to. I really want to see the Aurora Borealis as well, as you can imagine a lot of people do. But
oh yes, that's the main thing people want to see when they come to Finland, but that's a tricky thing to see. It's not very easy. John, did you see Aurora every
Yeah,
time?
a few times, but
Yeah.
it was, you know, I suppose I was, because October's the best month, and I was there for November and December, so I saw the green a few times, but the red and green, and actually it was the first day I was there, and being driven from Tromsø to Karesuando, and through the northern, they've got a road, they call it the Northern Lights Road, and and we just, it was amazing, and I'd only been there a few hours, and it was it's the best one I saw, and I've been, I suppose altogether, I've spent 3 Decembers up in the Arctic, so you know, it's even then, even in the Arctic, it's not so, you know, it's never predictable.
No, but it's beautiful, even though that I have lived here my whole life and I have seen it several times and different versions of it. It's always,
oh, it's amazing.
Always a wonder. It's always
amazing.
Really, really amazing. It's one of the most beautiful things, and the thing that it's so kind of mysterious, it makes it even more exciting and beautiful. But it's worth hunting. So you are still young. You have time. You will see it.
I hope so.
Yeah, in Rovaniemi, they've got they've got a centre, haven't they, where they, you know, they'll tell you if the Northern Lights are about to appear.
Awesome.
Yes, if you have cash enough, you can go to Lapland and you can have a hotel room, which is like a glass hut out there, a single room. So the roof is glass, and it's warm inside, and you can see the stars all night. And if you fall asleep, there are people watching over the skies, and they come and wake you up if the aurora is appearing. You need a little bit of cash for that.
That almost sounds like cheating, though. I think I would like to watch them in the cold.
It was great. When going out on the snow and just watching them was fantastic.
So now I am more motivated to go and watch this. Watch the Northern Lights, yeah.
Well, you are in the right place, Rika.
Yes, I can start making tours for you guys.
Yeah, cool.
Wonderful, definitely. Yes, and all of you welcome to come to Colombia anytime you want. It'd be lovely to have you here.
For sure.
There are several storytelling festivals here. If any of you speak, unfortunately not very many Colombians speak English, but if any of you speak Spanish or think you can tell a few stories in Spanish, I'll hook you up with the people of Viva Palabra or the different festivals, and it would be wonderful to have you here.
Okay. Maybe I'll go step by step. So I learned German. I'm now learning Italian. So then I'll come to Spanish.
Well, I've just added Spanish into my lockdown languages to learn.
Yeah, it's a good time for that. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming, for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can we one more round of applause for, and thank you, Juliana.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hope to see you all in Morocco.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Hope so.
Wonderful.
Next time in Morocco.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just a thought before we go and while we've got Bianca and Ilya and everyone on. Now, we know it's really difficult to film with for you to do a set, but would it be possible using that phone system? And if Julia, this is probably a question for you. Could you do a recording? Record the video and the sound on the phone simultaneously, and she could do it direct, so you could record a set from her that doesn't avoid, that gets around all her internet problems.
Well, I suspect if it's a one-on-one meeting on Zoom.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Well, like you do it for me, because I'm an idiot. There's could you do something similar that using the phone and so it goes through you, so you do the magic, the Julian magic, and put it all together.
Of course we can do that.
Of course you can do that. So you have no excuse for not giving us another set. We have now cracked it. We're now with the dodgy internet and a phone, because the visual image is fine. Is fine. It's only the sound. So, there's no getting out of doing us another proper set. So we're looking forward to that.
So I'm just going to explain for Alexa, who joined later, and anybody else who might be watching or who will be watching on the website or on YouTube or on Facebook. We had some technical problems in the first story with voice over the Zoom. So we added a telephone connection. So we've got the video coming through Zoom and the voice over the phone, which has been great. And I think if I know we've got tellers in remote locations in Morocco who are struggling to upload, and I'm sure there'll be tellers elsewhere in the world who might be watching now. But this is going to be fantastic because it's going to allow us to bring tellers to the cafe who aren't in a position to record and upload, which is. Thank you so much for Juliana for being patient with us while we figured that out.
Thank you.
No, of course. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we'll figure something out. Are there any special requests for stories for the next set? Was there anybody who wanted to request a story today and didn't get time to?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, so let me know.
They're all happy.
You've got a head full of stories. Just pick some and just.
Yeah.
They're all amazing.
All your stories are great.
Okay, one more round of applause for Juliana. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lovely to see you all. All the best. Until next time. May you all live happily ever after.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 Bye.